I'm live. Oh. This is the Lichtman Live Post Show, the greatest post show that's ever existed. Thank you all for being here. Truth, not tyranny. Truth, not tyranny. That is the winner of the 2025 Lichtman Live Democratic Messaging Contest. Congrats to Bonnie. Also, shout out to Obsidian Knight, who had the second place progress, not progress over politics. I was a little confused because in our spreadsheet, they said they didn't want to be notified, but then I saw in my chat here they identified themselves. So congrats to you. Congrats to Bonnie. We need shirts with TNT. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. TNT is dynamite. That's good. That's a good one. TNT dynamite. Yo, I have an AI generation of your dad. What does that mean exactly? I like the slogan, says Cleveland. I like it too. Limited Light's my number one fan right now. Shout out to Limited Light. Hello, Susie K. Mandalius. Hello, Susanna AP, who's currently my second top fan. Dennis says, oh, $5 donation. Thank you, Dennis. Dennis says, great work on the show, Sam, and the documentary. Give this man some likes and or subscribe. Thank you, Dennis. You're the man, Dennis. Dennis better be my top fan. Yes, he is now. Our future president, President Khalidi, is here. Cynthia says, Sam, congrats on your documentary. Can't wait to watch it. Yes, I am excited to hear all of your reactions. Yeah, I want to hear him. I want to see him. Obsidian Knight says, thanks for all the support for my slogan. 37% is pretty good. I mean, you were in the final 2 of 160. So, yeah, I mean, congrats to you. That's a massive accomplishment to win a contest, or to come in the top 2 of a contest like that. Sam, what made you decide to choose that topic for your documentary? Full disclosure, I did not choose the topic of the documentary. I was brought on actually after they had started filming as a editor and sort of secondary producer. It was the idea of the main, if you look at the credits at the end, the woman who's the main reporter in the piece and the main producer of the piece. Her name is Pal. Future Vice President Sammy. What? Really? Reed says, in my opinion, Bill Clinton is in the Epstein files. Maybe he is. I don't know. James says, reservations are so overlooked. That's 100% true. And I think that's what this documentary tries to highlight. I'll link it in the chat just in case people don't know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. TNT shirt. I think you guys are onto something. All right, the link to the new documentary, to my new documentary, is in the chat, and now I pinned it to the chat. So please watch it if you would be so kind. Drop a like, drop a comment. How long did I work on it? I think I started working on it maybe in, I don't remember exactly, maybe in April, and then it came out today. So that shows you how long one of these things can go. I mean, that's pretty quick, honestly, because this is more of a news documentary, not sort of like a classical, not classic, but a feature documentary. Yeah, that's pretty quick for most documentaries. Ruben says, I'm convinced that Trump was Epstein's number one client at this point. Wow, that would be quite a bombshell. Again, I don't think things are that simple. I don't think there's any like file that says Trump was my number one client, but that would be crazy. Bondygate. Yeah. She has certainly painted herself in a negative light, which I already saw her in, but now maybe more people are. Describe your DW documentary in a sentence. It explores how Trump and his administration and their policies have negatively affected the Native American community in the United States. Obsidian Knight seems to not really like Cuomo very much. I don't really like Cuomo very much either, so I feel you. President Kalidi says Trump has maybe want to run for president. President Kalidi, we all are hoping you're going to run for president one day. As long as your policies are good, of course. Of course. Shout out to Dennis, Limited Light, and Suzanne AP, top fans. Check the server. I showed you the AR image of your dad, and it's fire. Oh, we'll try to check it soon. Cynthia says, I would legit vote for a chimpanzee if I went up against Trump. Me too. Sam has Bonnie responded. I haven't seen Bonnie in the chat, so hopefully she will find out soon that she won. Do you think Dems should lead into the Epstein story and try to exploit the MAGA rift? Yeah, sure, why not? If they're gonna go to civil war over it, the Dems should gently guide them in that direction. Oh, she was on Lichtman Live? I didn't see her for some reason. But I'm glad she was on Lichtman Live. Did you see her reaction? I didn't see. I thought I didn't see her, but. Am I single? I am single, yes. Dupree says, I just want to expose all the pedophiles who are in our government. I agree, expose them. I'm fully believe that all those horrific humans should be exposed. No doubt. Raul says, Sam, my word, I gave out too much information in my competition entry. Everything is private. You don't need to worry. Expose and prosecute, right. But I think the statute of limitations is probably up on most of those. But maybe not. I don't know. James DeGruda says, I'm also convinced that Bill Clinton is on the Epstein list. Maybe so. I'm kind of hot. Thanks. Allan says, Elon is not the friend of the working class. No, he's not. Not at all. Yeah, smash that like button. Thank you, Suzanne. Hello, Julianne. I say I'm dealing with some awful stuff right now, and your live plus your dad's before giving me a much needed distraction. Thanks for all you do. Well, I'm very happy to hear that. That gives me motivation to keep doing what we're doing. Just a reminder that the Lichtman Live Discord server admin is a MAGA freak with a secret pro-MAGA chat. Is that true? I mean, that's concerning if true. Thank you, Miles, who says, congratulations on the documentary. Thank you. This is the AI you created of my dad. This is so weird. What the F is going on the Discord? I have no idea. Something, I mean, is it being, I don't know. Michael Lolang says, in your Native American research, did you find any evidence that there are rare earth minerals like lithium and uranium on Native American lands? I did not find any information on that. Have I found a boxing ring yet? I have a good boxing place around here. I haven't been since I've been back just because I've been focusing more on CrossFit than boxing as of late. Any concerns with the Discord can be sent to the main channel's email. Otherwise, this cannot be addressed, says the official Allan Lichtman channel. TNT merch? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, we'll have to get Bonnie involved in some way. Did you see SCOTUS allowed Trump to dismantle the Department of Education and the Senate just voted to rescind funding for public broadcasting? Yes, I think that's horrific. And I don't know why the American people aren't up in arms about that. You know? Do I watch combat sports? I do. I'm a big boxing UFC fan. Do I like the Bulwark podcast? One of the main guys in Bulwark like went after my dad and made like personal attacks on his like hair and shit, and I was just kind of like, F this guy. So no, I don't, because of him, I don't really mess with him. Do a 14er? What does that mean? Sam, do a 14er. What does that mean? SCOTUS has completely eliminated the power of Congress. I mean, and also Congress has completely given away their power to Trump and SCOTUS. I mean, they could be doing more, but they're clearly not. President Colody said he's going to make me a Supreme Court justice. Hell yeah. Which one on Bulwark did that? It's like the main guy on Bulwark did that. Bulwark. I'm not even sure how to say it. Sam, did you ever go to a real high school? I don't know. I have no idea what that means. What's a fake high school? Thanks for sharing my doc on Facebook, Susan. Tim Miller, that's it. Yes. Yeah, my dad seems to be a target of a lot of online pundits, just because I guess it's an easy clickbaity thing to talk about. Yes, it was Tim Miller. Yeah, I know a lot of people like Tim Miller, but I don't know. He's never done much for me. And then after he did that, I always found it weird that he was like, this, I don't know. He's never done much for me. It means to hike a peak at least 14,000 feet high. I'm not sure if I don't know. I have climbed some pretty tall mountains, but sounds like a strange thing for him to have done, Tim Miller. I mean, I can double check. Yes, that is true. We do have a Substack and a newsletter. That is true. We should publicize that more. Savannah's worked hard on creating that. Julianne says she's learned a lot from the Bulwark podcast. I don't doubt that. I think you can certainly learn a lot from their podcast. Owen says, release the files. I don't think that's happening at this point. I think it's pretty much donezo. Cynthia says, it's so weird to me that people are obsessed with your dad's hair. Me too. I don't get it either. Like, why the hell does it matter to people so much? I don't get it either. And like, it's so many people. And it's like always the first thing they try to diss him on is his hair. I guess just trolls on the internet, they just latch on to one thing and they go with it, you know? Elena says, I am a Jew. I voted for Zoran. My religion is separate. I need policy. I would vote for Zoran, and I'm half Jewish, so. Trolls be trolls. Exactly. Exactly. Sixth grader mentality. Exactly. It's like, what's the lowest common denominator we can find to make fun of this person? Oh, he's got poofy hair. Let's go for the hair. I'm going to see if I can find this Bulwark Allan Lichtman thing. I sound winded. Let's see. So there was this video. This isn't Tim Miller, but these are, these are two well-known, or, you know, this is the Bulwark podcast talking SHIT.
We got big news in the world of politics. I know
Huge.
You're real excited for this.
Yes.
We have an official winner in the 2024 election. It's already over. It's already over. Allan Lichtman has pronounced the keys have been untrued and falsed.
Today, Allan Lichtman's ready to tell us who's going to win in 2024.
It's such the whole thing is very funny.
He's turned the keys.
The race was tight, but the keys were right.
JBL, what has happened?
Like, they're just being very, like, rude and, like, you know, laughing at him and, you know, essentially perceiving him as a joke, which we all know he's not. So, you know, F these guys. I don't know. Yeah, condescending. That's the right term. Thanks, Tim. Didn't the Daily Show also jab at him? No, I think the Daily Show did a very good job of, like, making it funny without, like, just making fun of him directly, which is what these guys clearly are not good at. I can't find the Tim Miller thing. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought I saw something where Tim Miller was. Well, I can't find it. We'll track that for now on Tim Miller until I can find evidence. But certainly, these
JBL,
two
big news.
guys who I
We
don't
got
even know
big
who they
news.
are, you know, very condescending. The Pod Save America guys gave Lichtman some joke award for calling the election wrong. I didn't really realize that. I mean, that could be funny. It's just, you know, the way you do it. Like, these guys just being so pompous and condescending, you know. Guys, the Bulwark are our friends. I'm not saying they're not our friends. Well, they're not my dad's friends, because personally they make fun of them, but I don't disagree that they put out content that is good. Sam, are you on the hunt for all the condescenders? No, definitely not. That seems like a big waste of time and a good way to make yourself depressed very quickly. Yeah, and I think, generally speaking, they put out truthful, important information. The other issue I have with guys like Pod Save America, Bulwark, Tim Miller, is like they sit there and talk all day long and have 1,000 different takes and make 20 different predictions every day. And they're probably wrong about 90% of them. That's probably high. Let's say 50% of them, right? And no one holds their feet to the fire. My dad makes, you know, one big prediction and everyone's like, oh my God, you know. It's like, how many predictions have you made over your political pontificating career? Let's count those, mother effer. And not to mention that my dad was one of the first ones to say, like, hey, if you get rid of Biden, that's going to be a massive mistake. And people made fun of him for that. Made fun of him for that too. So hi, Bubby. My dog's here. Can you do a day in a life, like a vlog? I could, I guess. Bulwark was very harsh on anyone pro-Biden. Is that true? I don't follow them close enough to know that. But yeah, I think that's the thing that pisses me off the most from all these internet political pontificators is like they sit there and pontificate day after day, saying thousands of different things with, you know, very little research. You know, they just basically talk off the top of their head on their already pre-existing knowledge. And it's like, okay, yeah, my dad got his prediction wrong. Sure, but yeah, let's count your predictions. Let's count your takes. I bet it wouldn't turn out very well in your favor. And it's like, my dad's written how many, 12 books now. Well-researched, thoughtful, historical analyses, and they're like, what a joke. It's like, come on, bro. You sit there and talk about politics from the top of your head every day. Let's talk about who the real joke is. I think that's what upsets me the most. Books with footnotes, exactly, Bettina. Biden should never have done that debate. Well, in hindsight, yeah, probably not. V-Bunch says, your dad's show is always much more authoritative and informative than most of those bloggers. Thank you. Appreciate that. PhD in pontification, exactly. Official Nomad says, I respect you, Sam, for defending and standing up for your father. That's admirable. Well, thanks. Fright Night. You're right, except that he's teaches at American University, not GW. But other than that, you're right. And look, I'm not this person that's like, you need to have a PhD to be, smart, or you need to. But it's like, okay, again, if you're gonna be this pompous, cocky asshole and laugh at him and say that he's a joke, then I'm gonna come after you for, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Thanks, Lori. Appreciate that. Like, I don't think you need a PhD to go online and talk about politics. I think anybody can. But if you're going to start pointing your finger at other people and laughing at them, you better come with your own resume. Or else, there might be some blowback. You know what I mean? There might be some contention. You might have to come with the straight facts, homie, Thank you, Lori. Elijah Joy's in the house. And it's interesting because I remember like a couple of years ago when like Laura Ingraham was going off about like, oh, why is LeBron talking about politics? He's an athlete. Like, stick to dribbling. Like, I honestly believe any American has the right and should be able to talk about politics. Truly do believe that. Do another poll for the new slogan? No, the polls are over. The winner it's done. Cynthia says, my son raised over $3,000 to go on a field trip to D.C. We're going in September. Very proud of him. That's awesome. I don't think I've ever raised $3,000. Your son's already done that. Shout out to him. Thank you, Tony. If LeBron was hyping up conservative politics, she'd say nothing or even laud him. Exactly. Politics is literally the one thing that everybody's allowed to have an opinion on. That's government for and by the people. Do I want LeBron James operating on me? No. Do I want him as my dentist? No. But politics, everybody's allowed to have an opinion. Hello, R.V. Davis. Now, that opinion might be wrong. Don't get me wrong. But you're allowed to have it. Thank you, Susie. How many likes we got on the stream right now? 84 likes. Let's get that to a hundo. Opinions like assholes. Everyone has one, and they all stink. Exactly. That's the old good cliche. That's pretty applicable. I did unfortunately know that Trump is gutting the Department of Education. I mean, they're gutting everything at this point. Protests on July 17th to fight against that. Dude, I hate to be that person, but I don't know if any protests on July 17th they're just gonna keep doing what they're doing. There has to be a better way to try to stop them. In Vegas, it was 111 degrees. That's hot. Trump's political success hinges on two things: chance and manipulation. I think there's some truth to that. Like, just him winning that 2016 election is like, thank you, RV, for your donation. Are we ever going to hear the Epstein files? I don't believe, not from the Trump administration. I don't believe. It seems pretty clear at this point that nothing's coming out from them. Now, maybe Ghislaine Maxwell might come out and say stuff, but I think we'll never truly know at this point. Protests have historically changed the landscape of our country in profound ways. We have to keep protesting. I hear you. Am I a fan of Dana White's Power Slap series? No. Maxwell is angling for a new trial pardon. Yeah, but Trump administration is going to stop that, it seems like. Can former President Obama, Clinton, and Bush stop Trump? I don't think so. How would they stop Trump? What are my thoughts on Stranger Things in the final season coming out later this year? I'm a big Stranger Things fan. I don't know if they need one more season, but I'm not totally against it. I'm fine with it. Is Bonnie in the chat? Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard that the Trump administration is trying to stop Maxwell's appeal. Am I watching The Bear? I am not, no. I watched the pilot and I don't know, it just didn't do much for me. Where's Bonnie? I don't see. Oh, I'm still on top chat. I don't see her. I always do that. I'm going to switch to live chat. Where is Bonnie? Do you wish your father was in a cameo in Stranger Things? If the show was part DC based? Sure. I want to be in Stranger Things. Yeah, I don't see Bonnie. I saw the bad ice raid in the marijuana field from South Carolina. Is there, or Southern California maybe? Is there a big outcry in Ventura County? I haven't heard about that. Well, there's so many Bonnie false alarms. Strange. I know, she's elusive. Someone died after they fell off a building away during that raid in Camarillo, California. That sucks. I've said this before, but even if you want to expand ICE and have them go across the country and deport immigrants, there is a moral and an immoral way to do that. And we are certainly seeing the Trump administration enacting maybe the most immoral way we've seen in terms of immigration enforcement in this country. Thank you, Jeanette. I appreciate that. Why am I so sleepy? I don't know. That's a good question. I didn't really sleep well last night, but I did take a nap, so I don't know. Covering their faces tells you all you need to know. Exactly. And it's funny because I remember some clip of Trump saying about protesters that they need to stop wearing masks and stop covering their faces. You know when a state or a federal law enforcement agency is covering their faces, something is wrong. Something is very wrong. That should not be the case. Naps are life. You're right, Thomas Paine. Mark Saab, you're going to sleep well tonight, guaranteed. Thank you, Lori. Students may stay away from class if there's border patrol activity near their school. Yeah, maybe. ICE was strong under Obama, but it was different. Exactly. Exactly. Keep chopping. If you love somebody, let them nap. That's very true. I've never heard that before, but that's very true. What do you think the outcome of all this be in terms of the files? I think nothing. We're never going to really know what those files are. Why don't ICE go into the bad parts of town, aka gang members? Because it's hard to catch criminals. Because criminals, it's much easier to catch everyday people who are just working or going to school. It's hard to catch criminals. They're actively trying to avoid law enforcement. $95 likes. Come on, let's get it to 100, please. Por favor. Sam, did you hear about the Army veteran that ICE detained? And now they're telling his family they don't know where he is. I've heard all kinds of horrific stories like that. Missy says, I think we need to keep talking about the files because it bothers Donald Trump and his supporters so much. I agree with you. Like I said, drizzle a little tiny bit of gasoline on that fire. See what happens. Do you think there's active or inactive Democrats in the files too? Maybe. I have no idea. Possibly. I don't know. All we need is one person to leak those files. Like I said, I said this earlier. Like, I don't think it's that simple. I don't think there's just like a file that has a list of names. Like it's probably like hundreds of pages and like redacted and convoluted, and I also don't think many people have access to those files. I haven't seen Superman yet. I was supposed to see it on Sunday, but my friends had to reschedule, but we don't have a date yet. I would like to see it, but I'm sort of waiting on other people to see it with. It is a little confusing that nobody's leaked anything from this, though, because it feels like everything gets leaked in this day and age. But I don't know. You know, part of me believes like it's It's not simple. It's convoluted. It's not something that can easily be leaked. But the other side of me is like, nothing's been leaked. I feel like something would have been leaked by now. But hello, Lichtman loyalist. Susie K says, I watched it. I liked it except for the actor for Lex Luthor. I wasn't convinced. Okay. Jesus was an immigrant and a refugee. I don't think he was an immigrant. He was certainly like a political refugee of sorts. Elon Musk has evidence that Trump is connected to Epstein. He's using it as the nuclear option. No, he's not. He already said it. He already said that he's in the Epstein files. Here, if he was using that as some, last resort option, he wouldn't have leaked it already, at least like through his own perspective. I don't buy that. Jesus fled to Egypt because Herod wanted to slaughter the innocents. Jesus left Egypt and returned to Galilee after the death. Okay. Yeah, he was an immigrant. He went like back and forth. But he wasn't an immigrant to Judea. He was from there, right? Allegedly. His origin story, even in early Christian texts, is a little bit conflicting. So, nobody knows. I think at this point, most of the Epstein stuff will be from either Maxwell or victims that decide to come out. But I wouldn't even count on that, to be honest. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, located in Palestine. Wasn't it called, I don't believe it was called Palestine at the time, was it? Touchdeed says, man, that doc was heavy. Yeah, it is a little heavy. As my dad said, it's chilling. Would you accept a DNC 2628 job offer? That's tough. Depends on what my role would be, how much autonomy I would have, etc., etc. That land was called Palestine before it was called Israel. Right, but it was called something before it was called Palestine, right? Pretty sure. You can't rule out other countries having proof of Epstein. Yeah, I guess anything's possible. But honestly, I think there are so many bigger issues that affect Americans that we should be focusing on before the Epstein stuff. What was it called before Palestine? Judea, I believe. In the Old Testament, it was called Palestine. Okay. I'm Hello, Everett. Yes, we hit 100 likes. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Let's go. I agree, but getting the Epstein files released could splinter off some people from MAGA, which has huge implications. Look, I agree. I am all for releasing the information from the Epstein files. I'm all for it. But I'm not going to put that in front of like the affordability crisis, the cuts to the federal government, education. Have I been to BMO Stadium? I have. That's where I got this jersey. How come what? Susie K says, how come, Sam? How come what? BMO, yeah, I think it is a Canadian bank chain, but it's also the name of the LA. Oh, my camera's flipped. The LAFC, where they play in Los Angeles, the name of the stadium. Today, the House voted on whether to preserve, compile, and publish Epstein files. Why was it bipartisan? Shouldn't all want full knowledge? You would think so, right? What made me an LAFC fan? I'm actually more of a DC United fan, but I just lived in LA for a little while. My roommate was a big LAFC fan, so he went to a game, and I got a jersey. Keep Chopping says, I feel sad. They say, I feel for the victims that are seeing this used for political games. Sad for them. I agree with you. What's my favorite mobster movie? Departed. Which football club does David Beckham own? He owns Miami, right? Trump is a severe disgrace, says Reed Cataldo. I agree with you. Say it right. All right. My favorite movie is The Departed. I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me. Anybody know what that is? Do we have any interviews coming up on Lichtman Live? We don't really do interviews. It's not really our format. Kev says, Susie, it's the first thing that has created fiction in manga. We must pounce on that nerve. I agree. What about non-Scorsese gangster movies? That's a good one. Non-Scorsese gangster movies. Le Samurai. Jean-Pierre Melville. Trump is the deep state. You're right, Everett. He's actually making the deep state. He's actually helping to grow the deep state because he is placing loyalists to himself in the federal government. He's cutting everyday federal workers, and he's giving more power to these MAGA sycophant appointees who will do his bidding for him. So he's actually creating the deep state, actually. Do I like Reagan? No. Do you think Newsom will be the Dem candidate in 28? Quite possibly. What streaming service would you recommend to buy? I think HBO Max probably has the highest quality content. Netflix probably has the most content. So I'd go with one of those two. But I would lean towards HBO Max. I think they have better quality stuff. I like Casino too. I mean, if you think about it, the idea of the deep state is, right, like this secret sort of nefarious people within the government who are making all the decisions and going against the will of the people, et cetera, et cetera. It's like he is creating that with his actions to the federal agencies. They're becoming less accountable. There are less checks and balances on them. Right? Am I right or wrong? Thumbs up if you think I'm right. Thumbs down if you think I'm wrong. Brassman says the deep state is non-government corporate entities controlling the government and setting agendas. That's a very good point too. That's a very good point. All right, people think I'm right. Thank you. Appreciate you people. I did see Penguin. I didn't love it. Who funded my documentary? DW, Deutsche Welle. Please don't support Prime. Why do you say that? GJ Thomas says, I can't see the rest of the world going back to how things were with America. It's like living through a horror movie. They might have to. You know, if the next president is more open, post your documentary on Blue Sky. Okay, I will. No Prime because of Bezos. Yeah. But like, what's the alternative? Like, buy Walmart. They're just another big corporate. Go to, you know, Target. They're just like, there's no other option anymore. Oh, you mean specifically for a streaming service, don't use Prime Video. Is that what you're saying? If we're allowed to have a next president. Elijah, come on. Let's keep the hope alive. So this is true. All major options are corrupt. Amazon, Target, Walmart. Right. It's like we have no choice left. There are no... I mean, even before these, I mean... There's no mom and pop place you can go anymore. I mean, maybe some, like, but like even before the big Amazon, Target, Walmart, I mean, it was like Sears, Kmart. It just, we haven't really had non-corporate choices in a long time. Yes, Daniel, the doc is live and you can watch it. It's pinned to the chat. Just watch the doc. Excellence. Just more treaties with indigenous people broken by the U.S. government. Very true. Buy directly from manufacturers or local businesses. How do you do that? Shop local when you can. Yeah. If Democrats could control the House, do you think Trump will be impeached again? I feel like he will. Yeah. I mean, the one benefit I have heard to Amazon is that it is like the largest marketplace of small businesses. So that is one thing going for it. Farmers markets are key to keeping money in your own neighborhood. That's a good point. Yeah, he'll definitely get impeached. Will he be removed? I don't think so, but what's the benefit of impeachment? None. I didn't say there was a benefit. I just think it's going to happen. Amazon has way too many cheap Chinese products. That may be true. Yeah. Geo Yuka says, I don't want my money going to Bezos. I hear that. I hear that. So look this WA. Where do you get your, like, how do you avoid Amazon and Target and Walmart, and like what do you do? Play says, I hope Republicans move to the center after Trump. I wouldn't count on it. Localize everything. Yeah, that'd be great, but how realistic is that? Seems highly unrealistic. Localizing everything is already happening in DC. Yeah, there are certainly movements in that direction. There's no doubt. Is it happening on a large enough scale to really make a dent? That I'm not sure about. We are building. All right, more power to you. More power to you. Look, this WA says, I've cut down to only basic needs and I'm shopping vendors directly instead of through Amazon. Okay. So, like, for example, if you need Charmin toilet paper, you order it directly from Charmin? Is that what you're saying? If you don't shop at Amazon, you're most likely investing it through your 401k. That's true. These big corporations are directly tied to the entire market. They still need Amazon to deliver. That's what I thought. Like, yeah, Charmin doesn't have their own delivery system, right? So how does that work? Truth, not tyranny. Truth, not tyranny. Amazon is our new corporate USPS. That's true. Amazon and Walmart are too big. I agree. Truth, not tyranny. Truth, not tyranny. Truth, TNT. TNT. Look at the price of a candy bar. What do you mean? Like they're expensive? Didn't inflation just go up recently? In my opinion, the problem with truth, not tyranny, is still referring to Trump, and I don't want to acknowledge him in our motto. But I don't think it's referring to Trump. I think it's referring to the current policy of the Republican Party in America, who is MAGA, and which is Trump. It's all tied together, you know? Farms, not lawns. I like that. That's a good one, actually. Have you read your father's book? I've read books. I've read some of them. 2.7% inflation increase today. I am JG. I am. Truth, not tyranny. To me, that means, yeah, like, let's move past this right-wing GOP-led tyranny and get back to a semblance of truth. You know, we're not blaming all our problems on immigrants and the deep state and all these falsehoods. Truth, not tyranny. What the Republicans are doing now, they have wanted since Reagan. I think that's a good point. All right, I think with that, I will sign off for the night. I have now hit an hour on the post show, the greatest post show that's ever existed on the face of planet Earth. Nobody has ever showed me any evidence to the contrary of that. I'm just saying. Truth, not tyranny. Say it with me. TNT. Truth, not tyranny. TNT. Truth, not tyranny. TNT. Good night.